If you act as if God is within you, your voice changes, your posture changes. You stop asking for permission to live with fire. And when you stop waiting, heaven stops waiting too. This is not a lesson. This is a summons. If you are hearing this now, it is because something in you is ready to rise. You have waited long enough. The silence you feel, the restlessness inside you, it is not confusion. It is a call, a divine order echoing from within, commanding you to stop living as if you were forgotten. You were not made to shrink. You were not placed here to drift. You were sent. And the one who sent you does not apologize for power. The man who listens with reverence, who studies this again and again until it becomes his new law. He will not just change, he will become the living proof of purpose, sent with clarity, walking with power, finishing what heaven began. Now listen, because the moment you believe this truth, you will no longer walk as a man. You will walk as one who was sent. You have walked long enough pretending to be less than what you were created to become. You have bowed long enough to fear. You have hesitated long enough in the shadow of doubt. But now the voice of purpose calls to you. And if you will obey what is spoken, not just hear it but obey it, you will never again be the man you were before this hour. Because what I'm about to give you is not motivation. It is law, not advice, instruction. It is the truth of who you are beneath the story, beneath the excuses, beneath the hesitation that the world has trained you to wear. And here is that truth. You were not made small. You were not sent here to drift. You were not placed on this earth to survive. You were sent with power. You were sent with command. You were sent with God Himself, written into your spirit. And yet most men live like intruders in their own life. They apologize for wanting more. They hide their fire. They speak with hesitation, act with delay, and wait to be approved before they move. Not because they lack ability, but because they have forgotten who sent them. And the world prefers it that way, because the man who walks as if God is within him, that man cannot be controlled. That is why this truth is not handed out in schools. It is not printed in headlines. It is not celebrated in public. Because when a man begins to think as if heaven lives inside him, he becomes ungovernable by weakness. He no longer listens to the noise. He no longer waits for support. He no longer serves fear. He begins to walk differently, speak differently, build differently. And the moment that man appears, systems that rely on confusion begin to collapse. You must understand this. Infinite intelligence is not far off. It is not hiding. It is not waiting in the clouds. It is within you. But it will not move until you do. And when you act in alignment with the purpose you were sent to fulfill, when you carry yourself as if heaven has given you a task, when your words, your decisions, your habits reflect reverence for that mission, everything begins to change. But this will only work if you listen, if you obey every word, if you silence the voice in your mind that wants to entertain, compare, skip forward, or analyze. Because the truth I am about to give you is hidden, not shouted. And if you drift while hearing it, you may miss the line your future was built to receive. Do not let that happen. Listen with your full attention. Study this as if your life depends on it, because it does. And do not hear it once. The wise man will return to this message again and again until it becomes him. Until the thought God is within me is not a phrase but a fact. Until the posture of one sent becomes your natural stance. Until your identity is no longer uncertain, but etched in divine certainty. You are not here to survive. You are here to build. You are not here to wait. You are here to command. You are not here to ask. You are here to decide. And the moment you begin to act as if God is within you, you will no longer walk like a man. You will walk like one who was sent. The man who acts as if God is within him no longer apologizes for being here. He no longer doubts his place. He no longer waits to be chosen because he knows he was already sent. And when you live like this, the world begins to notice. Not because you shout louder, not because you force yourself into the room, but because your presence carries a weight that cannot be ignored. When God is within a man, his silence speaks, his decisions echo, his steps command attention, even from those who do not understand why. He is no longer ordinary. He is evidence. Evidence of what happens when heaven takes root inside a man. But you must understand, evidence is not built by theory. It is not built by listening once. It is built by alignment, by thought, by word, by action, day after day, until your life itself becomes the proof. That is why this message is not entertainment. It is not a spark meant to make you feel good for a moment. It is a sword meant to divide the man you have been from the man you were sent to become. Most men will hear this and move on. They will nod, agree, maybe even repeat the words, but they will not let it change the way they walk tomorrow. And for them, nothing changes. But the few who listen with reverence, who return to this truth again and again, who begin to act as if every decision is backed by God within them, they will rise. They will break patterns their family never broke. They will speak words that shift generations. They will walk into rooms and change the temperature without trying. This is not exaggeration. This is law. The law of divine presence made manifest through obedience. You have to decide which man you will be, the one who hears and drifts, or the one who hears and obeys. Because make no mistake, heaven is not neutral about you. You were not placed here randomly. You were not sent here to occupy space. You were placed here as an answer. Someone's prayer requires your obedience. Someone's freedom requires your courage. Someone's future requires your decision to rise. And if you remain hidden, if you remain hesitant, if you continue to live like you were forgotten, then the weight you were sent to carry will not disappear. It will sit inside you as restlessness, as unease, as that haunting sense that there is more you should be doing. That is not failure. It is the whisper of heaven calling you back to purpose. The only way to silence it is to obey, to rise, to act as if God is within you. And when you do, the man you were before will no longer fit. The words you used before will no longer serve. The excuses you carried will no longer hold. Because once you've tasted the reality of God within, you cannot return to smallness. From that point forward, every step you take is charged with assignment. Every word you speak carries authority. Every movement you make becomes a declaration that heaven is not distant. It is here, walking in you, through you, as you. This is why the world cannot control such a man. Because how do you control someone who knows he was sent? How do you manipulate someone who no longer fears loss? Because he knows he carries an infinite supply. How do you silence someone who has realized that the very breath in his lungs is borrowed from eternity? You cannot, and so the world will try something else. It will try to distract you, to keep you busy, to keep you entertained, to make you forget to listen long enough for this truth to take root. That is why most men never rise. Not because they lacked calling, but because they lacked focus. But you will not be one of them. You will not treat this as another message, another piece of content, another voice among thousands. You will treat this as law. You will return to it until it burns inside you. Until hesitation no longer feels natural. Until smallness becomes impossible. Because when God is within you, greatness is no longer optional. It is inevitable. The moment you begin to act as if God is within you, you step out of survival and into command. You stop asking, "What can I get?" and you begin to declare, "This is what I was sent to build." Survival is the language of men who have forgotten. Command is the language of men who remember. And the one who remembers cannot remain small. He cannot remain hidden. His very existence begins to demand expression. But here is the truth you must face with God inside you. Excuses die. You cannot claim weakness when infinite strength has been written into your spirit. You cannot claim lack when divine supply is already present within you. You cannot say, "I don't know if I can," when the one who knows all things breathes through you. To live as if God is within you is to declare war on the stories that once kept you safe. The story of "I'm not ready." The story of "I'm not enough." The story of "I may be one day, but not today." Those stories die in the presence of truth. And the truth is this: heaven does not wait for perfect men. Heaven moves through willing men. The moment you decide, the moment you obey, the moment you rise and act, heaven begins to align around you. And here is what will happen. You will feel resistance. The moment you begin to act like God is within you, opposition will appear. Not because you are wrong, but because you are right. Not because you are weak, but because you are finally dangerous. Understand this. Resistance is not a sign to turn back. Resistance is confirmation that you have begun. The weight you feel, the pressure you sense, the obstacles that rise, They are proof that you have stepped into territory that weakness cannot own. Do not fear the resistance. Let it shape you. Let it sharpen you. Let it remind you that you are not playing in shadows anymore. You are walking in light. Every man who ever carried divine presence met opposition. Moses met Pharaoh. David met Goliath. Daniel met lions. Jesus met the cross. Do not think you will rise without cost. But also do not think that cost is greater than the glory on the other side. Because here is the law. Every obstacle that stands in front of a man who walks with God within him is already destined to fall. It may not fall easily. It may not fall instantly, but it cannot remain. And when it does fall, you will realize it was never the obstacle that mattered. It was the man you became in the process of facing it. This is why hesitation is dangerous. Every moment you delay, you forfeit the transformation that only comes through obedience. Every day you wait, you deny yourself the strength that only comes from stepping forward. But the moment you act, even in fear, even in uncertainty, heaven moves. The resources appear. The connections align. The opportunities open. Because heaven does not respond to hesitation. It responds to faith. And faith is not feeling. Faith is action. Faith is stepping as if God is within you even when your mind has not yet caught up. Faith is moving before you have all the answers, trusting that the one who sent you already does. So rise, speak differently, walk differently, decide differently, build differently. Carry yourself as if heaven has given you an assignment, because it has. And when you do, you will notice something strange. The fears that used to grip you will begin to shrink. The doubts that once paralyzed you will lose their power. The people who once intimidated you will seem small, not because they changed, but because you did. Because when God rises within a man, perspective shifts. What once felt like mountains now feels like pebbles. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable. This is the shift waiting for you, and it begins the moment you decide, I will no longer walk as if I am ordinary. I will walk as one who was sent. When you walk as one who was sent, your very presence becomes instruction. Without even speaking, you show others what is possible. You teach men not by your opinions, but by your existence. Your discipline becomes a sermon. Your consistency becomes a message. Your courage becomes a prophecy. You stop needing to convince, because your life itself is the proof. And here is what happens. People will begin to follow. Not because you ask them to, not because you beg them to, but because the fire inside you awakens something dormant inside them. Understand this. Your rising is not about you alone. It was never meant to be. When you act as if God is within you, you give permission for others to do the same. Your obedience unlocks theirs. Your faith strengthens theirs. Your courage calls theirs forward. This is why hiding is selfish. This is why smallness is not humility. It is disobedience. Because while you wait, others remain bound. While you hesitate, others remain blind. While you hide, others remain hopeless. You are not called to hide. You are called to lead. You are not called to blend in. You are called to stand out. You are not called to survive. You are called to build. And the moment you accept this, heaven begins to multiply your steps. Doors you could never have opened yourself begin to swing wide. Favor you could never have earned begins to find you. Strength you could never have mustered begins to rise within you. Not because you chased them, but because you carried the one who commands them. This is the life you were designed to live. Not timid, not hesitant, not drifting, but charged with fire, anchored in purpose, moving with divine certainty. And yet most men will still settle. They will still live in hesitation. They will still bow to fear, but not you, because you have heard this truth. And truth requires response. So decide now, not later, not tomorrow, now. Decide that hesitation has ended. Decide that fear no longer commands you. Decide that you will no longer wait to be chosen, because you already were. And from this day forward, carry yourself as if God is within you. Let it shape your posture. Let it echo in your voice. Let it decide your choices. Let it govern your days. Because if you do, you will no longer live as a man. You will live as a message. A message that says heaven is not distant, that says God is not far, that says purpose is not unreachable. You will be the evidence that God still moves through men. And when your time here ends, you will not be remembered as one who survived, but as one who was sent. So rise, walk as if heaven has chosen you. Speak as if heaven has filled you. Build as if heaven itself depends on it, because it does.